type of workspace I want to talk about is a standard workshop, one that's going to fit 2 or 3 vehicles. First thing you want to think about is light. Light's a big one. Okay, generally these places are kind of hard to find skylights, so you want good lights on the ceiling, lights on the side, and if you don't have lights mounted to the walls, you want portable light. Okay, this one's a halogen light. What I love about technology today is LED lights. LED lights are really, really nice, and they're battery powered, so you don't need an outlet. That can follow you around the car. Just charge it up. And then never, ever, ever sweep with the vehicle inside the space. Okay, what can happen is when you sweep, all that dust and dirt will settle on the vehicle, and if you don't pay attention to it, okay, the material is going to go on and you're going to lower the quality of the film because you're going to have dust underneath it. So you always want to sweep before the vehicle comes in the space. Let the dust settle, and if worst case scenario, if there's lots of fine dust on the ground, you want to mop. Okay, and once you mop, if this is your own space, you only got to do that really maybe like once a week or once every twice a month, because if you don't, fine dust from the ground, especially in the winter, when you pull off the backing paper, electrostatic charge pulls that dust onto the adhesive. Okay, really critical, especially in the winter time. Okay, so if you don't feel like mopping, but you got that fine dust on the ground, spray the ground before you pull the panels off with a light spray of mist. Okay, really good tip. Okay, you want to have nice heat. Okay, and that's connected to a thermostat, and the big thing is you want to have a lot of electrical outlets, as many as possible. Okay, I definitely recommend that you install graphics with a heat gun. And so for a heat gun, you need electrical outlets, and then you also want to have a lot of space for your tools. Okay, again, space is critical. Just space allows you to kind of put all your tools aside, good organization, and that really is a big factor in workflow. Okay, so not only can you see your tools really well, but you also want to be able to work around the vehicle, especially like in this case, changing the color of the car. You want to be able to stand up, use your ladders or scaffolds. Again, having a lot of workspace is really critical just for ease of work, but also more importantly, if you're using graphics, you need to be able to stand back away from the vehicle to make sure it's straight. You also want a cutting table, especially now as you get into changing the colors of a car. Cutting table allows you to cut the panels efficiently so you don't waste material. Really critical here. And this is Patrick from a company in the Netherlands called Dutch, and what he did is he mounted his cutting table to the wall. So if he gets lots of vehicles in his space and needs to add one more vehicle, he can raise the table up nice and easy against the wall, and then when he does need some space, he can just put the cutting table down and use it for trimming up the panels. Super clever. Clever guy, that Patrick. And again, never have a cutting table that's just wood. You always want to either have some type of buffer on there for cutting, so you don't cut the table. You can cut the plastic for good quality, all that kind of good stuff. But again, that's a really clever idea. You always want to have ramps or lifts in your space for raising the car up, especially for bumpers. Really critical. Always nice to have music, just creates nice good workflow, and having a kitchen is really important. Don't overlook the kitchen. Wrapping cars is a very physical thing. You want to have your coffee, your drinks, all that kind of good stuff. And here's a great example for larger spaces. If you're doing fleets or volume, this is a perfect space. And this is from a company in the Netherlands called Omnimark. Tons of skylights. You got skylights that run side to side in the whole space. Natural light is the best. You got some ceiling lights there just in case it gets a little dark. And then you got lights mounted to the side. Really critical to have lights on the sides. It's hugely important. You got your cutting table there with different kinds of material there if you're doing volume, so you can just whip it off, put it on the cutting table, cut up in sections. You got your heater there, set on the thermostat, so you got a nice even temperature in the space. Really critical. And what's here, again, is tons of electrical outlets. Okay, always use a heat gun, and if you have tons of outlets, you have easy access points, so you can work around the car nice and easy. Super critical to have lots of outlets. Okay, and the big thing is nice high roll-up door for semi-trucks, tour buses, all that kind of stuff. 5 meters or at least 15 feet high. Really critical. Okay, and this allows you to throw in a lot of vehicles, have a lot of space to work around. Very important. And the biggest thing for me is temperature. Your workspace should be between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 and 25 degrees Celsius. Very important. All right, that temperature thing allows you to work cleanly on the vehicle. If it's too cold, the material becomes too stiff. If it's too hot, the material becomes gooey and tacky. All right, this temperature is the sweet spot. But most importantly, once the graphics are on the vehicle, post-install temperature has to stay above 60 degrees or 15 degrees Celsius. This is because the bonding temperature of the adhesive needs to be above this temperature for 24 hours in order for it to properly cure on the vehicle. Alright, so definitely keep that in mind once you get done wrapping the car. And now for the wrap up. Okay, the big four again. Cleanliness is huge. Having enough space to work around so you have a good workflow. You don't, have to, you can organize your tools properly. You can get your scaffold around the ladder. Let's say if you're doing a box truck, for example. Hugely important, okay? Light is, for me, one of the bigger ones in terms of just quality, being able to see what you're doing. Nice, even light, top to bottom, left to right. And then temperature is, for me, the most important part of car wrapping, okay? If you have a good temperature between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 and 25 degrees Celsius, life is good. Anything below, bad. Anything above, not so great either. All right, so temperature is critical, especially for post-install once you're done. So that's it for Workspace. Thanks for watching. I'm Justin Pate.